Hi guys, I just got back from work. I have been reading this book, A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I started reading it last night, but something very exciting happened today. I went and got Twilight from the library, and this is a book that I have been wanting to try or read since I was young. I'm going to have a reading vlog of me reading Twilight and just generally letting you know how it's gone. So on the first night I read about 40 pages, and then yesterday I read up to page 140, and now I'm currently up to 177 pages. I'm about here in the book. So yesterday on day one it was quite a rainy day and very cloudy, so it was very atmospheric like the book. I expect the best time of year to read Twilight is in January, because everything's gloomy, everything's raining, and it definitely feels like we've had more days in this year of cloud and rain than of actual sunlight. But then today the sunshine finally came out. I tried to do a bit of reading in the sun, but it was way too cold and windy, so I didn't get much reading done at lunchtime. And now I am back from work. I've got my book and I'm going to do some more reading. Well, I just want to let you know how I feel about it so far, and I'm surprised I'm actually really enjoying it. It's really not that bad. So I went into reading this with the mindset that I would read it as someone who had never even heard of Twilight, who had never seen the movies, who had never heard of anything on the internet about it, who had never heard any criticism about it. I wanted to go into it with a mindset as I've just picked up this random book off the shelf and I've never heard of it before in my life. I think it's a good way to go about it because it just gives you a fresh perspective. You're not expecting anything from it, you're not prejudging it, and it lets you just enjoy the story. A few criticisms I would say is that it's a little bit far-fetched in places. So you kind of have to overlook some of the cringy bits, or you have to overlook the bits where it's a bit far-fetched. So for example, Bella gets asked out by four boys? No, yeah. She gets asked out by 4 different boys. Eric, Mike, Tyler, and Edward. Yeah, it's a little bit far-fetched in places, but if you overlook that and you overlook some of the cringy lines and the cringy things that Edward does, it's actually quite enjoyable. I do like it, it's good, and the writing's better than I expected. So there's this one scene where she's in biology and they are testing their blood types, and Bella can't stand the sight of blood, and so she starts to feel really faint, and she hears the ringing in her ears and she feels hot and dizzy and sick. And I just felt that was really realistic, because I have been in that place where you see blood and you just get this like white noise in your head. You start feeling really hot and uncomfortable, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. I like the way it was described. It seemed pretty, realistic. I am actually intrigued by the Cullen family. So far in this book I have not been introduced to Edward's family, and they have this kind of mysterious air to them. We've met the doctor, but we've not seen any of the other vampires. So I am looking forward to seeing how they interact with Bella and whether they accept her. I finally met Jacob. Bella went to a beach party and met this boy who, from rumours I've heard about the movies, I expect Jacob is a wolf, and Jacob tells Bella about the wolves and the vampires. And so what surprised me about Jacob is that he's only 15 years old. I don't think he's 15 in the movies, is he? Isn't he like a love interest in the movies? I'm very confused. So I'm interested to see how that differs in the books. And Edward Cullen himself is more interesting in the book. I would expect him to be more like a Damon Salvatore type guy. I've watched a few vampire series which are romance, but I've never really, I find it difficult to read. So I'm surprised I'm enjoying it as much as I am. So I've got my cup of tea. There's always time for tea. I'm going to continue reading this. I was expecting it to take me a lot longer, and I'm already halfway through the book and it's only day 2. So considering I work full time, that is impressive. So yeah, I will keep you updated on how it's going. Okay, so I'm on day 3 of Twilight, and since yesterday, things have gone downhill. I've read the last 100 pages and I'm up to 250 pages roughly. If I had to rate the last 100 pages, it would probably be 2 stars. And I'm really disappointed because it was going so well and I was really enjoying Twilight. But then the romance started to go a bit over the top. It's basically just conversations between Edward and Bella at the moment, talking about their favourite colour, or Bella discussing her favourite gemstone, which is topaz, because Edward's eyes apparently look like topaz. So I'm hoping it's going to pick up a little bit and that it's going to get better again. One thing that's keeping me reading at the moment is that I want Bella to meet Edward's family, and I'm interested to see how that goes. But apart from that, I hope it gets better. I have finished Twilight. I think we're on day 5 now. This is Saturday, and I read the last few pages today. And in my last catch up, as you remember, I was starting to struggle a little bit with the book. So you could say the first third of this book is 4 stars. The second third of the book, I'd give it 2 stars. And the final third of the book, I'd probably give that 3 stars. So overall, my rating for Twilight, 3 stars. So I enjoyed the story. So it was an okay book. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it either. At points, I had to kind of skim over stuff that I didn't really enjoy. It's actually quite a good concept, and it is a concept that kept me reading. So it was interesting to see a girl who was in high school who was falling in love with a vampire. Then she was getting to know all the different vampires in the family and how they reacted to her. And then as the story goes on, she's then being hunted by a bad vampire. And the plot turns to this vampire family protecting her. And I enjoyed that actually. The last third of the book was really good. It just got a bit wishy-washy in the middle. If they could have cut down some of the scenes, maybe taken out some of the conversations between Edward and Bella, it would have been such a good book, I think. It just needed tidying up, and maybe the dialogue could have used a bit of work. This is Edward speaking to Bella. Just because I'm resisting the wine doesn't mean I can't appreciate the bouquet, he whispered. You have a very floral smell. Like lavender or freesia, he noted. That's an out of control quote. So yeah, there was bits like that where I had to kind of ignore. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but I can see why it's like Marmite. But you know, I did like the concept, and that's what matters. And I did like the characters. I was interested in the characters. I was interested in Alice. I was interested in Jasper. I was interested in Emmett. We didn't get to see much Rosalie, but I was interested in Rosalie. Esme, Carlisle. I was interested in these characters. I wanted to hear more from them, and I was just a bit sad that Edward took up most of the book. I would have liked to see some more subplots, more sub-stories. And I also liked the backstories to some of the vampires. So Esme, for example, she explains how she became a vampire. You also hear about how Carlisle becomes a vampire. And then I'm not going to spoil Alice's story because that's quite a big plot twist at the end. But yeah, it was interesting finding out where Alice comes from, because Alice doesn't remember her past. She doesn't remember being human. So it was, yeah, I enjoyed watching her story. Would have liked to have seen more from Rosalie. She was like the one that just hated Bella altogether, which I can understand. This kid's just come into their family and is putting them all at risk, and they have to find a way of protecting her. Yeah, it actually got kind of interesting in the last third of the book. But overall, considering this is my first time reading Twilight, I didn't find it all that bad. Watching every vampire movie and television series there is out there, I always had a kind of a biased view of Twilight. Well, I prejudged it. But yeah, let me know what your favourite parts of Twilight are. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? If you like this video, please subscribe. I've hit 100 subscribers now, so I now have my own YouTube URL, and that's very exciting. So thank you for subscribing to me. I hope I've not offended anyone that really loves Twilight. I'm not saying I dislike Twilight, but I'm not saying I love it either. But I can see the appeal of it and why people love it. But yeah, I'm glad that I read it. It was kind of well-rounded. The start was well-rounded, the end was well-rounded, but it suffered in the middle. Yes, I'm also going to start my own blogging website. So it's going to be called www.jenofbooks.com. So you can find all my reviews on there. It's not set up yet, but it will be soon. So I will let you know about it in the next video. See you next video.